Musk's SpaceX and NASA's SLS. Two great launches are about to happen this year. Are you ready for it? Well, both are almost ready for their launches. SpaceX, the static fire, is long awaited for its launch at Boca Chica. It just got one step closer with its successful static fire test to its first orbital test flight. The test of a prototype Super Heavy booster, which happened late Tuesday afternoon, is being done successfully. This successful test worked as a significant milestone for SpaceX, which has been working on its Starship program at its launch base, Boca Chica, a development facility in southeast Texas. Just a few weeks after a previous booster test had resulted in an explosion at the launch pad, though the damage was not catastrophic, just like the same booster tested before this. You might be knowing that SpaceX and Raptor both are incomplete without each other. A reusable Methalox staged combustion engine that powers the Starship launch system is the Raptor engine. A single Raptor 2 engine was recently fired during the test just to check its capability of lifting the Starship, instead of testing all 33 engines that will ultimately lift the Starship to orbit. The entire test lasted only a few seconds. Let's check what was done in this test to observe these engines. During a static fire test, the engines spun up to ignition and the rocket stays on the pad, so engineers can get a good sense of an engine's performance prior to an actual launch. A type of ingenious contemplation. Right, guys? The Space Launch System, admirably known as SLS, is an American super heavy lift expandable launch vehicle under development by NASA since 2011. You'll be amazed by knowing that as of July 2022, the first launch of SLS is scheduled for its launch in 2022. Its launch is expected to take place no earlier than 29 August 2022 from the Kennedy Space Center. NASA expects that the SLS intends to become the successor to the retired Space Shuttle and the primary launch vehicle of NASA's deep science exploration plans, such as crewed lunar flights and the Artemis program, which will lead to a possible human mission to Mars. The Starship's launch consists of two stages, and this two-stage launch consists of a super heavy booster with a 164-foot tall upper stage known as Starship. The 394 feet in total launch system is designed to be fully reusable. Let me inform you, this is the only rocket in its class that is designed for reusability by a long margin, and it's a key part of Elon Musk's, CEO of SpaceX, the goal to make humans multiplanetary and to spread, in his words, the light of consciousness throughout the universe. On the other hand, NASA's SLS is almost prepared for the launch of its first moonshot. The spaceflight has been live-streamed, and the test captured the exact moment of its ignition. And it's being developed in three major phases. They are Block 1, Block 1B, and Block 2. All these will work as an improver for SLS, which will improve its capabilities. As of August 2019, SLS Block 1 launch vehicles are to launch the first 3 Artemis missions, and for Block 1B, 5 subsequent SLS flights are planned, after which all flights will definitely use Block 2, although Musk has affirmed several possible timelines for the first orbital flight test of Starship, but not exactly about its launch. And recently, he estimated on Twitter that a successful orbital flight is probably between 1 and 12 months from now. The SpaceX fully reusable Starship launch vehicle has been endorsed as the next big leap for rocket technology. Guys, I have a question for you all. Can you compare which will be the most cost-effective ones from these both? If you know, write it below. The main difference between NASA's SLS rocket and SpaceX's Starship is perhaps best epitomized by NASA's plans for its upcoming Artemis moon missions. NASA's SLS, which is just 100 meters long, is a massive launch vehicle. Although it's smaller than SpaceX's full-stack Starship attached to a booster which measures 120 meters, the SLS can produce up to 9.5 million pounds of thrust and can easily carry a payload capacity of 190,000 pounds, that is 86 tons approximately, up to LEO, low Earth orbit, in comparison to the Starship, which can produce 17 million pounds of thrust and will be able to launch 300,000 pounds, exactly 150 tons. On top of that, Starship will do it at a fraction of the cost due to its reusability. The latest heavy-duty launch vehicle will be the world's most powerful rocket designed to carry unmatched payloads into deep space. Unlike any other rocket, SLS has been created to evolve alongside advancing its technology technology. The modular design and interchangeable parts of SLS mean that it can evolve alongside varying mission goals and growing technologies. Which one do you think is more powerful and eco-friendly, SLS or Starship? Greg Archery, a commercial space industry expert, had said that many of the FAA 75 terms are very trivial, non-engineering requirements that can be completed at the same time as others. Archery further added, Musk's timelines are always too optimistic, something which SpaceX CEO has admitted himself in the past. Musk surely assumes everyone who's doing the job is a clone of himself or someone who's a genius that basically never stops working. I would bet late July is technically possible, but I'd put my own money on August or September. Elon and SpaceX have predicted various dates for the Starship launch, and these also included July and November last of this year, as well as January 2023. Musk was very sure when he announced the latest news of the Starship's launch, which is that the Starship would finally get into orbit this year. Though its full reusability could revolutionize spaceflight when it is compared with NASA's previous launch programs, SLS might not be a disaster, as so many are painting it to be. But the Starship has the potential to change the way we do space travel, and that won't come without some environmental consequences, so there is a weighing up needed. The recent report suggests that NASA officials are shitting the bed over the fact that Starship could obsolete all existing launch systems. But, my friends, is it so that NASA's Space Launch System SLS is so far behind Starship's capabilities? After discussing this much, let's start with a side-by-side comparison. As a point of reference, NASA launched more than 800 astronauts into space with its Space Shuttle program. The US Space Agency has been around for a lot longer than SpaceX, but the private space firm, which has sent a total of 22 astronauts to space since May 2020, still has more than a little catching up to do. I think such high numbers may be a long way off, though SpaceX hopes Starship will allow it to greatly increase its cadence of crewed launches. Starting later this year, NASA's Space Launch System provides the foundation for human exploration beyond Earth's orbit. SLS's unprecedented power and capabilities make it the only rocket that can send astronauts, Orion and cargo directly to the moon on a single mission. Crazy, right? In addition, it offers more payload, masses, volume capability, and energy. Its evolvable design makes it possible to fly more types of missions, including human missions to Mars and the moon, and robotic scientific missions to various places. The SLS team has delivered many space rockets and is nowadays preparing for the Artemis 1 mission, NASA's first exploration-class rocket, which is built for human space travel since the Saturn V. Amazing, right? SLS's evolvable design provides the nation with a rocket able to pioneer new human and robotic spaceflight missions. On the other Starship, said to be the fully reusable spacecraft that works as a second stage of the Starship system, the Starship offers an integrated payload section. It will be capable of carrying passengers and cargo to Earth's orbit and planetary destinations, moreover between destinations on Earth too. The Starship prototype, which was descended under active aerodynamic control, had been accomplished by independent movement and 2 forward and 2 aft flaps on the vehicle. All 4 flaps together were actuated by an onboard flight computer to control Starship's altitude during flight and enable precise landing at the intended location. These test flights of Starship are all about improving our understanding and development of a fully reusable transportation system that is designed to carry both crew and cargo on long-duration interplanetary flights. This will also be helpful for humanity to return to the moon and travel to Mars. Having a look at Starship's tests, we can assume that Starship will enter Mars's atmosphere at 7.5 kilometers per second and decelerate aerodynamically. Its heat shield is designed to withstand multiple entries. In fact, they have made a new upgrade on Starship's welding that will change everything. Just click on this video to know more about that.